I love filet mignon. The tenderloin in general is just a wonderful cut of meat. And one of my favorite steak sauces to have with it is a red wine reduction. When it comes to food, I trust just about anything that Gordon Ramsay does, especially his steak sauces. Here's how he prepares a red wine reduction that includes his secret ingredient that I never thought to use. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate it more than you know. The first thing that I want to do is get all of my vegetables prepped and in one place. We're only working with a few here, so there isn't too much to do. But I want them ready so I can start the sauce as soon as the steaks come off the skillet. To start, I'll chop up my shallot. I'm just using one large one here. That should be plenty. The size doesn't matter too much. I think the smaller the better, but I'm going to fine strain this at the end, so it really doesn't make much of a difference. Then we want to pull out 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. I'll use these not only for the steak, but also in my sauce. So just keep a few handy and ready to go. We'll also want to make sure to have a few sprigs of rosemary on hand. That's going to add a nice, earthy flavor profile to the dish. You can use just about any cut of steak with this sauce, but of course, I always lean towards the tenderloin. Filet mignon is just a lovely cut of beef. It's a lean cut, meaning it lacks fat, meaning that it's slightly less flavorful than, say, like a ribeye or New York strip, which makes it a wonderful candidate for a sauce. I'm going to generously season both sides of the filet with salt and pepper, making sure to really rub it in. When I sear this, I want it to really develop a nice flavorful crust. I'll heat up my skillet, add some olive oil or avocado oil. Make sure to bring that to temperature before throwing the steaks on. We want the oil glistening while just starting to smoke. I'll add one, then the other. I'm getting some nice color on these. I'll flip. After the first flip, I'll give it like 4 minutes or so, then I'll add a few knobs of butter, followed by a crushed garlic clove and a sprig of rosemary. I'll baste these with all that flavorful butter. I like my steaks medium rare, so once mine hit about 130 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll take them off to rest. As soon as the steaks come off, I'll dump out all that cooked butter and add some fresh olive oil, let that come back up to temperature, and add my shallots. Then I'll microplane the garlic. Adding garlic this way is a wonderful way to optimize its flavor. After a few minutes of letting that cook, I'll add a couple sprigs of rosemary and a few knobs of butter. As soon as the butter is melted, it's time to deglaze the pan with red wine. I'm just using a Cabernet here, but any type of red wine should work. I'll add about 400 ml, or roughly 1.5 cups. Make sure to scrape up all those bits of garlic and shallot that have become caramelized on the bottom of the pan. Those are going to add tons of flavor to the sauce. And I'm just going to reduce this for about 8 to 10 minutes. I'll speed this up so you can see how much thicker and darker it becomes the longer you cook it. Now for the secret ingredient. And it's nothing wildly out of the ordinary, but I just never thought to use it for a reduction sauce. Balsamic vinegar. Its rich flavor is really going to add another level of complexity to the sauce. Lastly, I'll add 400 ml, or about 1.5 cups of beef stock. Now, as Carmy from The Bear would say, reduce, reduce, reduce. I'm going to let this simmer for about 15 minutes or so, or until it reduces by about half and passes the street test. More on that in a few. If you're unfamiliar with the process of reducing, it's rather simple. We're essentially boiling away some of that liquid. It allows us to maximize flavor while minimizing the volume of the sauce. We're just accentuating and highlighting the flavor of the wine and the vinegar here. Now for the streak test. Take your spoon and scrape the bottom of the pan. If it leaves a streak, turn down the heat to low and add a few more knobs of butter. It's ready to go. Stir that in until it's fully melted and it's time to fine strain. You don't have to fine strain, by the way. You can leave in all the chunks if you prefer. Personally, I like to have a nice smooth sauce that looks beautiful on a plate, but the sauce is just as good when it's not strained. Perhaps even better. I'll try to get as much of this sauce out as I can, leaving a little behind as possible. The last thing I'll do is add a couple more knobs of butter to really give the sauce a nice silky finish. I'll slice this in half to make sure it's cooked how I like it, and perfect. Now we just plate. Like I mentioned, this is one of my favorite steak sauces, definitely in my top 5, which also includes a classic béarnaise, chimichurri, mara butter, among others. So this is definitely up there. You'll find that it's tangy, sweet, rich, and overall a perfect complement to this buttery cut of beef. As always, ingredients will be in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching until the end. I really appreciate it.